Now I'm hoping we are live there. Let me have a look. It's been a while since I've done this, so I'm just sorry for the delay. I was just trying to work out how it was that I did it. Is that right? Am I live now? Have a look. Hello and welcome. Sorry for the delay there. It's been a year. It was last Easter I did some live streams, and I was just trying to work out how to do it again. So today we're gonna. I'm just working on some chasseurs à cheval. You can see them on the sprue here. Now I've gone for the. I'm going to go for the charging arms. So these are the ones I've painted up. Yep, this one here. That one there, and I'm a bit too close to the thing there, aren't I? So let's have it this way. It'll be easier to see. So I'm going for the charging arms. So these ones here. This one's less chargy, but it's still sort of an active pose. So I'm going for these ones, and then I'm saving the at-rest arms, and I'm going to do something else with those guys. So we've started the Maxia Mini line of videos, and what I'm going to do as part of that is these are going to get turned into Portuguese Dragoons. Now, just give me a second. I'm just trying to get the video on so I can read the comments. I'm a bit rusty. I probably should have tested this this bit, shouldn't I? There we go. Now I can just see that it's not quite filling the screen. Let's have a look. There we go. Is that better? I'm not sure how behind I am. Yeah, there we go. I think that's better, isn't it? So yeah, so thanks for joining me. I'm not sure how often I'm going to do these. It's something that I've been wanting to do a lot more of. It's going to just be, like I say, just a paint song. It'll be a couple of hours probably. We'll just have a chat. I can see the comments now, so if you're there, hello, and welcome to the comments. Hello, Andreas. Huzzah is a British line for hello if you are fox hunting or something like that. But it'll do. Thank you very much. It's nice to see you. I'm just shaking up some Citadel contrast paint at the moment. I don't know if you've used this. If not, it does require a really, really good shake. So let's have a look. I've just noticed a couple of bits missing on my dark green. Now, some of the contrast paints are better than others. I think the dark green ones is one of the best ones. I really like the red as well. And they're both very good. I like that they give you quite a lot of gradation. So if I just show you on the figure here, this one's probably a better one to show you. Let me just make sure I've got it in the camera shot there. You can see the shading that's in the detail there. And I think one of the things that really makes it so good is the way the Perry sculpt. I think their deep in cuts make the contrast paints work really well on their models. I've used them on the Warlord. I've used them on the Warlord models. A little less successful on there, although the greatcoats have quite a lot of detail on there as well, so they tend to take it quite well. Let me show you what I'm talking about on the boots. I'm sure you're all fully au fait with contrast paints. Now they've been out for I don't know, about a year. And to be honest, the only problem I've got with them is I tend to look for a way to use them rather than traditional painting techniques, because they are so much quicker, and it has turned me into a bit of a lazy painter, if I'm honest. But when you're trying to crack out as many figures as possible in as short a space of time as possible, sometimes being lazy is not necessarily so bad. So what are you guys working on? Let me know in the chat. It'd be good to see what figures we can all get done today. Hi Pit, hi Wraith, James. Well hung in dung. Well, okay. I see. So as you can see as well, I'm using quite a crappy old brush for this one as well. It's an old Citadel standard brush, but it's long past its best. But that's okay, because I'm just using it effectively as a wash brush, and I'm just banging on this contrast paint. If you've not tried them, I honestly would. There's a lot of people out there who don't like Games Workshop paints, and that's, you know, that's fair enough. It's a question of what you're used to. I've always used Citadel paints, and I'm particularly attached to them because about 6-7 years ago, Games Workshop changed all their paints. They completely revamped the whole paint line, which was a bit of a pain in the arse, if I'm honest. They got rid of Charadon Granite, which is the greatest paint of all time. But when they did that, they basically got rid of all their old paints, and we were told, I was working for Games Workshop at the time, and we were told to just basically throw them away. So I've got Citadel paints, the old school Citadel paints, absolutely coming out of my ears. I've got an old figure, a large figure carrying case, and that's overfull with paints. And that's after I've given them away to my brother and my dad as well. So that's the main reason why I still stick with the Citadel paints. Seven British Lime Battalions Light Dragoon Regiment, £6 rifleman you picked up for 70 quid. Blimey, Charlie, that is a very good buy. I often look on eBay for Napoleonic deals, but the last one I got was a super random assortment of figures, including some front rank Carabiniers that are lovely models. They're really nice. But I think I'm going to be doing a Max Your Minis video on making pre-1812 Carabiniers. So that's before they got the armor and the helmets. And if you've seen the videos that we did on the Russian Guard in particular, the Carabiniers weren't actually very good. They certainly went against the Russians anyway. But they're a very nice looking regiment. Anything with bearskins always looks good to me. So I will be doing that. I just need to find out. I don't know if you guys will know. I'm sure you will. What base to use? Is it best to use Dragoons for them, or Chasseurs, or something else? The more I have used and looked at these Chasseur sprues, the more versatile I think they are. I think they're really, really good for a whole host of different things, including, as I say, Portuguese Dragoons. Now, I'm just going to finish these boots off, and then I'm going to start the process of the Portuguese Dragoons. It's going pretty well. I'm liking this so far. I'm just going to quickly do the coal packs as well. Now, again, I'm not entirely sure how common these were. My thought would be only the elite squadron would wear these, but I will definitely be including them in my unit, even if it's you know, the rest of the units, for argument's sake, post 1812, and these are a pre 1812 thing. I really don't care. If I have the chance to use these, I am absolutely going to use them. So there we go. When I turn the sprue over, I know it's off camera. I do that just to stop the camera from auto focusing like way away from anything. So apologies for that, but that is why I do that. Trying to find a plastic pistol arm hand on Napoleonic infantry sprue, I can't remember which one it was or where to find it. Anyone know? The Victrix infantry, particularly the flank companies, they have a hand holding a pistol, which you can obviously cut off the sword arm or something like that. I think they might also have an arm with a pistol as well. I seem to recall. Not 100% on that, but I think they do. Another place you can get a pistol as well, this is particularly useful if you're in America, is from Brigade Games. They do a upgrade sprue, and it's one that I'm going to absolutely wax lyrical about in a future video. They're basically top hats. They are for British Foreign Service, but they're also really useful for those sort of crazy foreign regiments that the British had. So things like the Lusitanian Legion, not so much for them, but anything that's sort of, you know, a little bit out of the ordinary. I think the no, not the Chasseurs Britannique, but they're really useful anyway. But they also do, because they were originally for Marines, so they're top hats, and you get things like boarding pikes, and I think you get an arm with a pistol on there as well. So Victrix, well, they were originally made by Victrix, the Brigade Games top hats. So check those out if you can. Like I say, they're particularly useful if you're in America, because they are an American company. And the way postage is here in the UK at the moment, good gravy, you'll probably end up spending about 30 quid just to import them. What would I recommend for 1805 French? Well, Victrix also do a set of 1805 French in the bicorns. I really like them, but be a little, just be aware that they are very fiddly. So you've got to paint the you've got to glue on both arms and the head and the backpack, and the arms don't necessarily match up as easily as you'll think they would. Particularly now as well, the sprues have a lot of flash on them, which makes gluing them together a little bit more difficult. Especially if, like me, you paint on the sprue, you really need to do a thorough cleanup of those figures if you're painting them on the sprue in order to make them go together well. Because you get like a plug on the wrist that goes into a hole in the arm. And yeah, sometimes they don't match up so well. But I would recommend those. I also hear people, obviously, a lot of people like metals. So I hear people talking about Front Rank. Again, very good. They're a little dated for me, but they're still very good. They've done some updated ranges up Front Rank have. And they tend to be in the reinforcement packs, and they're lovely. They're really nice. I can highly recommend those. But they're really a sort of monopose stuff. It can be, well, it's a little monopose, as the name would suggest, I guess. I need a pistol and top hat guy for my spy in Chosen Men. Again, Brigade Games, they do a Duco figure from Sharp, if you've ever seen Sharp, or they also do a Major Hogan as well, who, as the Duke of Wellington famously says, his coat buttons up over many issues, which I think is an excellent quote. But they do those, or the Perrys do a nice sailor who's in like a sort of short jacket, and he's got a cutlass and pistol. He's very nice as well. Geralt of Rivia, he asks, have I played General d'Armée? Not for a long time. I played it a while ago, but not recently. Now, I've got rid of the sprue from my painting area because some of you may have seen the thumbnail for this, or the post I put out saying I was going to do a live stream today. And it's actually some artillery. We've talked a lot about Victrix so far, and it's quite fitting because this is my Old Guard 12-pounder. Now, this is another Maxia Mini special here. This is just using the spares that I had from my Victrix artillery. Now, I say spares. Basically, in the Victrix artillery set, you get one cannon, you get one set of bodies, but you get 2 sets of arms for each body. Now they're identical, except they've got the epaulets on. So you've got 1 set with epaulets, and they are for guard, and then you've got the set without the epaulets, that's for line. Now I've built the cannon using the line, and what I wanted some Old Guard. All my Old Guard currently are Victrix. So I've missed a bit on the back of his leg there. All my Old Guard are currently Victrix. So I wanted some artillery to match them, i.e. the artillery in their greatcoats. Now, actually, I think one of the nicest sets of Old Guard artillery are from Warlord. I think their Guard artillery are absolutely lovely. But I wanted to try something a little bit different, and I recently ordered a box of the Middle Guard. Sorry, I'm just drifting off the picture there, aren't I? I recently ordered a set of the Middle Guard, which you get the great-coated bodies for, and I've used the spare arms that I didn't use in the original cannon to make this Guard artillery in their greatcoats. Now, the officer, he's just the standard, I think he's a chasseur officer, that one. He doesn't necessarily fit in with the rest of the crew, I don't think, but he's just straight out of the box. He's a bit of an oddity, because with the Middle Guard, you get 2 sprues of 15. You get 2 full commands, and you're never going to really need a full command group for 15 figures. So it's just an excuse to use him, really. You can say he's wandering over to see how the gun's going. But that is just using, like I say, the spares from those sets. Obviously, the cannon is the full cannon. Now, another top tip for cannons was going to be, I was going to do another Maxi Minis on these. So I couldn't find what I was looking for, though. So maybe some of you guys can help me. There used to be, Warbases used to do an MDF cannon. Now, it wasn't great, but it was cheap. And the best thing about it was the carriage. The gun itself was not great. But again, in the Victrix set, you do get 3 barrels. You get the 12-pounder that I've used here. You get the 8-pounder that I've used on the other gun. And you also get I think it's a 5.5-inch howitzer. So you've got spare barrels. Now with these, I've got the really nice engraving on the back of the barrel there. You only get 2 handles, I believe, though. So you might have to make those yourself out of a paper clip or something like that. But you've got the lovely engraving on the top there. So you can have an MDF carriage, which no one really cares about. Put the cannon barrel on top with the nice engraving. And I don't think anyone will be able to tell the difference between those. So that's why I wanted to do that. Like I say, it just fits in with the infantry. James, can you imagine operating a 12-pounder in a greatcoat? Well, absolutely. It's not something that I would fancy. But then, having said that, if I was on a retreat from Moscow and it was minus 20 degrees, then I might be quite happy with the greatcoat. So I just touched up a little bit on his leg that I'd missed there. And while I've got the dark blue out, I'm going to have a look at doing some Portuguese Dragoons. Now, I've got my Osprey here. Let's have a look. Osprey Volume 2. And let's open it to page D of the pictures. So here we are. So we've got 2 types of Dragoons. We've got these Dragoons here. Now they're wearing the Tarleton helmet. And we've also on the opposite page, we've got these Dragoons here. And he's wearing what's called a bell-top shako. It's quite an unusual shako, actually, the way it goes out the top there. That's unlike pretty much any Napoleonic shako I can think of. It's far more like I guess it's almost like an Indian shako. It's more like a sort of a mid-19th century shako. But you know what? I think we can get away with just using a regular French shako for that one. So we've got two possibilities we can choose. We can do the Tarletons, or we can do the shakos. Well, I'm going to look at the shakos first. So let's just move this out of the way. Now, with the chasseur sprue, I'm going to put it that way so you can see it all on camera. You've got these heads here. You've got, so they've got the plume. You've got the shakos without the plume. Now, this one's a better example. You've got 2 types without the plume. You've got The ones that are uncovered, such as this one, and the ones that are covered, such as this one. Now, the uncovered ones have got the eagle stud on the crescent there. So we don't really want to use those because, as we saw in the picture here, while that was a covered shako, it certainly didn't have the eagle on there. So we're going to go with covered shakos for the Portuguese Dragoons, and that's this one, this one, this one, and this one here. Now, as you know, I am a huge fan of the tarlatan helmet as well. So if you've got a box of British Light Dragoons, you can always give the Light Dragoons the shako that comes in there, and you can use the tarlatan for these boys. Or you can do what I've done, and if I move that out of the way there, is get some of this. Now, this is a silicon mold. And what I've done is, as you can see, I've used it quite a lot of times already. It's got all the inclusions in it. That's not so good. You know, they're not supposed to be in there. But what I've done is I've poured boiling water over that, and inside there is a tarlatan helmet that I recently acquired in my British Light Dragoons. So let's have a look. I haven't checked this yet. Let's peel it open. Oh dear, I might have melted it together. I almost certainly should have checked this beforehand, shouldn't I? There we go. So we peel that open, and you can see we've got the tarlatan helmet inside there. Now, I've left a bit of the sprue on, and that's just to add for a little bit of places for the green stuff to go. So let's chop some green stuff out. Now, this silicon mold, I got it from the Outpost. I got it a long time ago, so I'm not entirely sure of the manufacturer, but there is a company called Instamold, and they do something very similar. What I really like about this silicon stuff is that it's reusable. So you just pour boiling water on it, leave it there for a couple of minutes, and it goes soft again, and you can use it, to make loads of different shapes. I think before I used these, they were possibly Mark III Space Marine legs. So, you can use them for practically anything. So I'm just kneading some green stuff together there. Don't think I've got enough. That's very unusual for me. I normally mix absolutely tons together and end up throwing half of it away. So let's see. I found with this green stuff as well, this is getting a bit old, this pack. So I need to cut that middle part out because it's gone a bit firm there. So move this cutting pad further up a little bit, just so I'm operating on the pad. So while I'm doing that, let's have a look at the chat. What's going on? If Warlord released 13.5 50mm Napoleonics, what rules would you use? To be honest, I'd probably use black powder still. I'm a really big fan of black powder because it does exactly what I need it to do. It gives me the nuance between all the different units, and it allows me to get a game complete in an evening. That said, I could be tempted by Blucher. I could be tempted to base them all up on Blucher bases. I know Storm of Steel, another YouTuber, he's a big fan of Blucher. We played a game just before lockdown, so I could be tempted to do that. General de Brigade's pretty good. I've got a 15mm French army already, actually, so I could use that. I've also got a ton of Austrians as well that need doing. So yeah. Green stuff has its own stuff for this. Blue stuff, yep, no, that's cool. Yeah, it's again, I think the Outpost might sell that as well. I'm not sure, possibly. And I was watching a discussion about Milliput last night. Does anyone still use it? I do still use Milliput, actually. I've just finished making a load. I found a load of old CDs of this is gonna super age me now. Of what was it? It was like encyclopedia, but on CD-ROM, which obviously I'm never going to use ever again. This is from the late 90s. So I use all those as bases for terrain. I've been doing a lot of jungle terrain for my 50mm Japanese for my Flames of War, and also my Vietnam armies as well. So and my samurai as well, actually. I was thinking, I'm gonna have to do different sizes for different scales, but I saw a bamboo forest when I was in Hong Kong, and the bamboo must have been, oh, it must have been 50 feet high easily. So, you know, I think you can probably get away with it being an ancient bamboo grove in 50mm or a more modern one in 28mm. But yeah, no, sorry, yeah, so the question milliput, yes, I do use milliput. I used it to fill the hole in the middle of the CD, and I also used it to make the things that I could push the bamboo into. I bought like a whole bag of it from, I think it was from eBay. So it came from China, and that helped me make those. So I've laid the green stuff in the rough shape of the thing. This mold is absolutely mean. I don't know what all these inclusions are. I must put something in there that was undercoated. Oh dear. So let's get that sorted. Now, normally I'd say use a bulldog clip or a peg to push them together. I was going to say I don't have any pegs, but I do actually. So hang on. Let's get these pegs on there. Make sure that's nice and firm. And we'll have another peg. A peg to peg the peg. There we go. There we are. So we're going to pop that out of the way for a second. We'll let that cure. And while that's happening, I'm going to get myself some dark blue and a sprue. Now, before I came on air, I did do a test of this, and I used what have I done with it? I want to sort that one out. I used this one, Ultramarines Blue, for the contrast, and that came up with this colour here for the jackets. Now, looking at the Osprey, it is a much darker blue than that. Let's have a quick shufty. So, looking at the Osprey, it's a dark blue. It's an indigo. It's almost like a French blue. So that's what I'm going to go with. Now, these little details here on the arms, on the sleeves, I'm going to paint those on, so don't worry too much about that. You can sculpt them if you wanted to. I do not want to. It's as simple as that, really. Paul Winter, my gaming club wants to run a Black Powder tournament. Would you accept an invite? I absolutely would, Paul. I've got a couple of events already lined up this year, Warhammer ones actually, and I'm running one as well, probably the start of next year. So if it doesn't clash with any of those that I've already committed to, I will absolutely be there. I think it's September. I'm off to Cardiff for an event, and I've got a couple down in Essex as well. Tim Stevens, hi mate, are you going to do the Black Powder rules for naps soon? To do the Black Powder rules for naps soon. Not sure what you mean there, Tim. Yes, maybe. I don't know. Let me know. Let me know what it is specifically you're after, and I can give you a more definitive answer than that. A quick behind the curtain look though is that I don't I don't normally think that far ahead. So if you want something sooner rather than later, then ask me, and I'll probably squeeze it in somewhere. Now, the cuffs for the Portuguese are straight, not pointed like these chasseurs. These chasseur coats are actually for hussars. They're the kurta. The suggestion is this is what hussars actually wore, this coats that I'm painting now. When they were on campaign, when they were fighting, they actually wore a much more plain sort of overalls type thing. And to be honest, I think they probably did. It's you know, all that braid and all that stuff is not going to last very long on campaign, so I can strongly imagine that they wore this stuff instead. However, my hussars go into battle fully dressed, busbies and pelisses akimbo, because you know, when my guys meet the enemy, they go in their best outfits, except of course the Old Guard artillery. They all wear greatcoats apparently. So there we go. That's the front of that one done. You can see the lighter blue there. Now again, you know, you can mix lighter blue and darker blue in the same unit if you want to. This is pre-industrial days, so dyes certainly weren't as fixed as they are now. But I think it doesn't look very good. Personally, it's probably more realistic, but for me, it just makes it look like you've forgotten what colour you were painting the regiment halfway through. So I would tend to avoid that. But some people like that look, and if you do, then all power to your elbow. Then you should crack on with that. So let me just get in the nooks there. So I was just looking for something. So there we go, and I'm going to get this this arm done here as well. I'm just going to do the one today, just to give you an example. With the Maxia Minis things, videos, I'm really excited about getting more of those done. I'm thinking, so the last one was, this is a box of figures. These are the figures you can make from it. I'm also going to do much more sort of, I want to make this regiment. These are the boxes you need, because it worked quite well for that one, because there's a lot of different units that use the French cuirasses and things like that. But for the rest of them, it might be a bit more, yeah, you need parts from these 3 kits. So it might be easier to do it on a regimental level rather than the rather than looking at the boxes. So I'm just going back to my Osprey book because I'm not sure what colour to do the trousers. We can see here they've got the breeches that come down to just above the knee, but there's no picture of overalls. There is overalls on this side here. So they've got the dark blue with the leather reinforced inner thighs. Anyone who's read Sharp will know that he wears overalls that are like that. So we're going to go with the dark blue. Now the reason I am using the overall legs, these ones, is because their boots are very different to the Dragoon ones. So let me see if I can wrangle this in such a way that you can see. So these guys have got, actually, where are the ones that I've painted? That'd be easier to show on, wouldn't it? Lean across the camera there, very professional. So if you look at the boots of these guys, these are light, like continental light cavalry boots. So you can see they've got the like the V down the front with a little tassel, and they go quite high. They're very different to these. They're more like Wellington boots. So the overalls, they hide all this stuff. So that's why I've gone for them for that. It means that when, with a little bit of planning of what you're going to do to make the chasseurs, you've got all the parts on this sprue to make the Dragoons as well. Where's that sprue that I've just done? You've got the heads. There's the covered shako we're going to use. You've got the body, you've got the arm, and you've got the legs. Now, obviously, if I wanted the chasseurs to be at rest, then I could have used that as the chasseur arm and these as the Dragoon arms. Doesn't really matter. It's just a question of making the most out of the sprue's worth of figures. Because ultimately, you know, we all work hard for our money, especially these days. You know, money's not necessarily that easy to come by. So we need to get the most out of all the sprues that we can in order to max our minis. Missed a bit of the old green charging arm there. I have to paint those facings in a bit. Just slap on some green while we're here. There we go. Lovely. Let's have a look. Where are we gone? Now let me just scroll up the chat a little bit. Remember, make use 1/72 figures and adapt black powder rules for that. The biggest pain for us is making our own bases, as we can't find anything for this scale. I saw, yeah, as James says, try war bases. I think war bases are absolutely fantastic. I used to cut all my bases. I used to use like a steel ruler and a what I call a modeling knife, a box cutter. And you know what? Life is just, it's too short. It's too short for cutting your own bases, I'm afraid. It's one of those things where it's a bit like making trifle. You can make your own trifle and it's great, but life is too short to make your own trifle when you can buy one from the supermarket for like £2. So for me, the bases are very much like that. So there we go. We've done that. So we're getting there quite nicely. I'm going to do his overalls. Now the model actually has modelled on it here. You can see a line. That's where the leather reinforcement's going to go. So it's a little bit wider than it is in those Osprey pictures, but you know, whatever. There's a handy ridge on the sculpt, so let's use it. And we saw at the bottom of the overalls as well as like a cuff of leather, so we'll leave the bottoms off there. I'm going to use another contrast paint on the leather as well. I'm going to use the snakebite leather for that one, which I've always struggled to paint with leather. The original snakebite leather, when it was a paint, was very, very, very thin. It really did show the other colours underneath it through. Now that's why my brother, he paints over a white undercoat pretty much all the time, whereas I tend not to unless I'm using these contrast paints, in which case I will do. So that's the overalls painted. I've gone up onto the stirrup strap there. That is almost certainly not the technical term for it, but it'll do. So actually, the cuffs are modelled on the bottom of the overall as well, so even better. I think with most equipment like overalls and things like that, I think they were probably fairly standard across armies, because it's not something that's sort of nation specific, shall we say. If you're on a horse, the inside of your trousers are going to rub, whether it's a French horse, a British horse, or a Russian horse. So they're all probably fairly universal, which makes exchanging these kits or using them for multiple nations even easier, which is very nice. Just getting in there under his arm, grab that dark blue bit. Yeah, you see, that's going to mess up the focus. I saw, speaking of contrast paints, I saw General Dan popped up in the chat earlier on. So hi, Dan. He uses them a lot on his Austrians. Now I have to say, I don't know if he's still here or not. I hope not, because I don't want him to hit this. But his Austrians are really, really nice. They're beautifully painted. He takes a long time to paint stuff, but when he does, good gravy. It's he gets the results for it. So I can't fault him on that one. So, what other stuff have we got on the chat? Friends of General Haig, hello, morning Napoleonic fans. Paul's, you're based in Essex. Oh, that's good. The place I'm going to for the Warhammer event is Hockley. It's the Wayland Gaming Centre. So I don't know where you are in relation to that. One of my best friends lives in Shenfield, so I'll probably be staying there and go from there. If it's in like Cheltenham or somewhere, then that's fine. If it's in somewhere a bit further out, like Colchester or something, I'll probably stay in Colchester. Destruct 30, hello, how goes the painting? Yeah, not bad, not bad. We're getting there. I was thinking about trying the Studio Tomahawk 1812 stuff, but don't like their models. Would Peninsular period stuff miniatures be appropriate for this period? If it's for the War of 1812, then yes, they would. In fact, some of the 1815 stuff I'm planning on using to start my US Army. I bought the Waterloo starter set fairly recently, and I'm going to use the British in that as the basis for an American army. If you use a lighter brown, then use skeleton horde contrast over. It looks like leather. Oh, okay. Okay, I will try that out. What horses will you use for the Portuguese? Perry, light cav, or French? I'll have to use the Perry light dragoon horses for that one, Andreas, because they were very different from the French ones. The sort of the saddle cloth arrangement. It's good because it means that you can use the French horses that you get in the sets for the chasseurs. So you are still doubling up. You can buy the horses separately from the Perrys. To be honest, they're not that much cheaper than just buying another box. To be perfectly honest, when it comes to like maxing your minis, it tends to be more economically effective shall we say, if it's figures that aren't available in plastic. So, for instance, the pre-1812 Carabiniers that I'm going to do, you can't get those in plastic. You can hardly get them in metal. The front rank do a lovely set in metal, actually. I'm surprised the Perrys don't, because they do pre-1812 infantry, especially now. Very odd. But yeah, if you're going to use something that's already available in plastic, you're probably best off just buying another box of figures. I've read the French didn't look after their horses very well. Is that true, or just one of those things people repeat to each other? I've heard both. I've heard that it's true, and I've also heard that it's like an urban legend. I don't really know, to be honest. I'm not a horsey guy. A friend of mine, she's like super into horses. I should ask her, really. But yeah, no, I honestly don't know. Have I tried out LaSalle 2 yet? I have not. I've heard nothing but good things about it. I wonder how much of that is just because it's not black powder and how good it actually is. I do actually quite like LaSalle. I like Sam Mustafa's rules quite a lot. So it is one that I will be checking out. Sorry, mate, pouring down with snow here. Yeah, we had a bit of snow this morning as well. A teacher bid for black powder with Napoleonic rules in mind, please. Yes, it's certainly something that I've been asked for before. It's something that I've shied away from because other people have done them, including Rick Priestley. But it's certainly something that I could do, yes. Right, so here we are. I've taken the top off the mould. Now, what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to pop it back on again. Just give it a final squeeze just to get that final impression in there. Now, as you can see, I've left quite a bit of sprue on the original thing. Now, that obviously uses up extra green stuff. You can get rid of that if you want to. I probably could have cut it off there. But the idea is if there's any extra in there, it'll splurge down here and mean that there's no detail lost on the helmet there. So, unfortunately, as with the Perrys, now I always criticize them for this, and I've done it myself. The mold line is going to be right down the middle of the face. It's going to be down the nose, you can see there, down the lips. That's going to be a bit of a nightmare. Because of that, I need to let this dry completely before I start messing about with it. I'm just going to pop it out of the mold, though, just so we can have a look at it. It's still a little bit soft. I'm going to leave that in there for a while longer. Just let it cure a bit more. I'll leave the top off. Let the air get to it. I'll leave it in the corner of the screen there, just to distract me, and so I don't forget that it's there. Before the end of the stream, we'll try and pop that out, and we'll see how it's going on. Now, the great thing about this is it means that you can use that to convert, like I say, a load of different figures. Now, I have tried to do this with a Russian heavy cavalry helmet, because I wanted to make the Rizhkov Dragoons, who were converted into cuirassiers using captured French equipment. So, but they kept the Russian helmets. So they've got French breastplates and French auglettes. You know, the coats they wore underneath the breastplate as well. Not auglettes, that's the shoulder things. So they wore those, but they kept the Russian helmets. So I was trying to press mold some of the helmets, but they just were not happening at all. If you can cut the helmet out and leave that bit of sprue on the bottom, then that'll do you really well. I just didn't want to sacrifice a Russian cuirassier for it. With the announcement of Russians in plastic coming soon, though, well, soonish, then hopefully that won't be too long. I can find someone who's a bit of a Prussian lover and steal the Russian helmets that they don't use. So I've talked about what my plans are with this sprue. Now, there's something that I haven't talked about, and that is the uncovered Shakos. So that's this one here, this one, and there's a fourth one. There it is. Is that on the camera? No, it's not. The fourth one is this one here. Now, they've got the eagle on top of the semicircle. And what I'm going to do with those is I'm going to use those heads on the early Perrys. So that is these guys. So let's get those out of the way. On these guys. And I'm going to use them as middle guard. Now, the reason I'm not going to use them as Young Guard is because I'd need to convert all the cuffs up, which I could do, but these are obviously a bit late for that. I've already painted these, so I'm going to use them as the middle guard. The helmets, the Shakos that you get in this set have got the lozenge on, which is cool, but the guard obviously had the eagle on the semicircle, which is what these guys are perfect for. So again, by thinking ahead, I'm like, right, well, what Shakos or what headwear am I going to use? Well, I'm going to use the covered Shakos on the Portuguese. I'm going to use the fancy Shakos on the chasseurs with the Busbies. And then I'm going to use the uncovered Shakos. So I get 4 on a sprue, so I've got 12 from this set. Do you get any on the command sprue? Let's have a look. No, you don't get any on the command sprue. So I'm going to have 12 of these uncovered Shakos with the eagle on to use for my middle guard. Now, it's only 12. It's not many. You can combine it with covered Shakos for the middle guard. It just gives you that bit of extra flavour. Or you can do what I'm going to do, because I have a condition, and order the 3-box brigade deal from the Perrys, because you get the Baron de Marbeau with that one. And I've got to have some Baron de Marbeau action going on. So that's why I'm going to do that eventually. So that'll give me 3648, including these 12. By the time I've got the command bicorns on and things like that, I'll have around about 54-ish. So, you know, I need 72 for 2 full battalions of 36 guys. So the rest can have the covered Shakos that you get with the Victrix set. So overall, I think we're going to be a large part of the way there. So I'm just going to bang a quick wash on these metal bits. Now, I used a spray on these. I used, what was the spray I used? Not Wraithbone, the other one. Corax White, which is a slightly off-white. And it was not great, to be honest. It's gone on and it's all cracked and dried. Now, it might have been that it was too hot the day I did it, or too arid, like too dry. But that can be a problem, especially this time of year. I mean, someone said they've got snow coming down. It's quite nice here, actually. We had a bit of snow this morning, but it's nice and clear now. Last Easter, I did these live streams, and again, as another but far more disturbing glance behind the curtain, I actually had to take my shirt off because I'm up in the attic and it was so hot up here that the sweat was pouring off me. So yeah, so a bit of topless streaming there. I should be should be on Twitch for that one, but I don't think anyone would pay to see me. Oh God, no. So here we go. Just crack on with these. As you can see, I'm doing all the arms, even the ones that I'm not necessarily planning on using. This is something that I usually do because I think, oh, it's going to save me time later, and then I put the painted arms away, completely forget about them, and then the next time I do some, I have to do them all again. So if that's something that's going to save you time, then I would recommend doing it. I always think it's going to save me time, but it very rarely does because I forget that I've already done it all, which can be annoying. Although, when you do come across a stash of arms you've already painted that you'd forgotten about, that is really nice. I've got I'm doing some more Vistula Legion at the moment, and I've got a musket arm that I've painted. I don't know where it's come from. It obviously popped off. I thought it had popped off someone, but I've checked all the arms, and everyone is fully armed. So I don't know where it's come from, but it's all painted. The musket's painted, the lock, the little brass butt, everything's done. And oh, I'm so excited! I'm so excited when I get to the stage where I can glue it on, because I saved myself 25 seconds by having this this pre-painted musket. I think I might have taken it off to put an NCO's arm on, when he's got the little Fanion for the guy on the extreme right of the line. So, but yeah, it's the simple things that cheer you up. So, having done that, I'm going to have a quick read of the chat. Let's have a look. Don't only for one moment that regular trained cavalry troops would allow their mounts and stuff like that. Without his horse, cavalryman is nothing. Yeah, I think I think ultimately it does come to that. But then there's also the question of people are pretty lazy as well. So it could be that question of, oh yeah, you know, I'll look after my horse first. Maybe not. Very general head question: what do you use to mark stamina losses in your Black Powder games? Well, there's two ways of doing it. The way that I usually do it, and the way that I want to do it, but normally can't be asked. So if I'm honest, the way that I want to do it is I've actually got some casualty markers. You get them with the Perry's cavalry, or you can buy them separately. And that's these guys here. So there's a dead Englishman and a dead Frenchman. So you can put those on a counter or on a base. War bases do nice counters. They've got like a wheel that you can spin. Let me see if I can see any around. Yeah. So you can pop him on there, and then obviously you can move them their numbers around. Now they do different sizes, so you can get him sort of. Hang on, let's. Where's my nippers? So you can get the guy on top of the dial if you want. You don't need to. You can just use the dial next to him. Another way you can do it, and it's the way I started, is you get the casualty, put them on a base, and have like a little bit of wire that sticks up. And I've got different coloured beads that I can put on the wire, which is quite nice, but a huge pain in the arse. So you glue them on top of the counter like this, and then you just have it on the one, and then you say, oh, I've taken two, so you move it up and so on. For disorder, I tend to put a dice next to them with a 6 showing, or the army symbol is what I normally use for my 6s. So that's how I would do casualty markers. The other alternative is just stick a dice behind the units as well. It's what we do for like Warhammer when you're counting wounds and stuff. So that's fairly simple as well. It's you can do that. So as well as the freebies, you can also buy casualty figures as well. I have a nice Polish cavalry casualty from Front Rank. He's got the chakra on. He's quite cool. We can get guard ones as well. I've got a really nice Russian guard. He's like sort of kneeling down, holding his chest. He's quite a nice one. So yeah, there's a lot of companies out there that do casualty figures. And they're perfect for this. They're one of those things where I wouldn't necessarily buy if I was just starting out, but when you're looking for excuses to buy things, then I think they're pretty solid for that. Oh, yeah. Painting on the sprue is a one-way trip to the loony bin. Yeah, good to see more folk using contrast for the polish. You know, I get a lot of people talking about painting on the sprue. I don't know. I just find it so quick. I find it much quicker than gluing the figures together and then having to paint them afterwards. I also think as well that it's when you are gluing the figure together at the end of it, you really get that sense of achievement that you're pulling everything together that you've been working on, and finally you've got this this finished figure to show for it, rather than, oh no, I've still got to do the Shaco or whatever, you know, and then it just feels never ending. It does for me, but like I say, you know, it's what works for you. So I'm just doing his sock on his Busby. There, the socks is absolutely not the proper technical term for them. I'm sure they have a technical term. It's like a bag, isn't it, that you put over the Busby? But that's the same facing color. Sorry, the same color as the facings. So I'm using an Avalanche Sunset, and then I'm going to go over it with the old Sunburst Yellow. Now, yellow is one of the contrast paints I have had mixed results with, shall we say. I've got some Warlord Games Landsknechts that it looks really nice on. I've also done some Steel Fist Knights as well, and it looks absolutely gorgeous on them. But then I've tried it on like my Vistula Legion, and it just doesn't look quite so good. So I don't know what it is. It might be the sculpts. It might be the opacity of the yellow. That's what I suspect the problem is. But you know, it's just about finding the things that it's useful for, using it for those, and if it's not useful for that, then don't use it for that. Right, so that is those bags done there. How is our Tarleton helmet coming along? Still a little bit soft. That's all right though. Let's just try popping that out. Nope, still a bit soft. That's cool. That there. I think I'm being a little ambitious, thinking that it'd be dried by now anyway. So that's fine. I don't mind leaving that a little bit. So something else I wanted to discuss as well, I've brought it up a second ago, is the Perry's mid-war French. Now, as you know, I'm doing these as my Vistula Legion. I'm looking over, let me see. I've got a sprue that's it's pretty much, that's a lot further along. So that's the current state of this sprue. There we go. So that's getting there. As you can see, I've re-highlighted. I'm on the re-highlighting stage. I've re-highlighted this guy's waistcoat. The trousers need doing. I've done a mixture of the white trousers and the dark blue. So that's winter. That's summer. But, you know, I just like the variation that it has. As you can see here, that's my green stuff sunburst that I've done on the Shakos. Doing it for, 36 times 8. I don't know why I set myself these mathematical challenges live on air. What's that? 360 minus 72, so 288. 288? Yeah, 288. Doing 288 of them has been something of an issue, but you can see I do use the covered Shakos as well, so I haven't done it on all of them. It's only 2 per sprue. But what I'm looking to do with these guys is use the marching guys. They're going to be my regular Vistula Legion. And then the elite sprues, these guys, I'm going to use these as a different formation. Now, I made the mistake of buying 2 of the regular boxes and a box of the elite companies because I didn't know that you get 2 sprues of elite company in the regular box and vice versa with the elite box. So that's something to be aware of. So what I'm going to do is I've got obviously these guys you've got running, charging. You've got standing and firing. Now the idea is that you use these as your skirmishers for your line company, and that's, you know, that's fine. That's something that you can do. But I am intending on using them as middle guard, as I say. I think I'm going to do the middle guard as the 2 firing figures per sprue. So I've got 2 from each box of infantry, and then I've got an additional I've got 4 of these from each box of infantry because you get 2 of these sprues, and then I've got 6 lots from the other sprue. So I've got 12 plus 4, 16. So I've probably got around about 30 because I've got 6 boxes of the regular line plus the elite companies one. So I've probably got enough for a battalion of these if I get an additional command. Now I could do them as just like line grenadiers or something, but as I said, because we've got the I've got the covered Shakos from buying the Victrix Middle Guard, and I've got these cheeky boys here. That means that I'm going to glue them onto these bodies, and I'm going to be able to have some middle guard doing some shooty shoot. Now the Fusilier Grenadiers of the middle guard, they had cuffs like this. The Fusilier Chasseurs and the Young Guard, they had pointed cuffs. So pointed in the same way as the Chasseur ones are, like this. So I don't know anyone who does pointed cuffs in plastic. So you're going to have to sculpt your own, or just do them like this and just paint them green and red or whatever you want to do. It's not necessarily the end of the world if you repaint them. But for me, that is quite a big difference with the Young Guard. So I'll probably have a go at trying to convert them. But if it turns out that it's just too difficult, I'll probably end up just painting these green with a red thing up there. So that's what I'm planning on doing with these. So these guys are going to be middle guard. I quite like the idea of having the advancing running guys as Young Guard. As you know, I really, having studied the Young Guard for my video on them, I was really impressed with how active they actually were, especially compared to the other Guard formations, who just sort of sat there and watched the battles happen, much to their chagrin. But the Young Guard, they got involved quite a lot. So while we're here, I'm going to quickly bust out these guys. Now, one thing that would be another issue for doing them as middle guard would be their short sabers, the briquettes. But because this is the elite company sprue, every figure on this sprue has the briquette. So we've got 4 there. Each one's got the briquette, and then that's for each of these 4 figures here. So that's not a problem. With the Young Guard, again, they had the briquette officially, but because they were so low down the order of people who got stuff, you could get away with not giving everyone one of them. But as I say, I think everyone's got one anyway, so it doesn't really matter that wise. So let's get these done here. It's something that as the hobby moves forward, as it progresses, and more Napoleonic figures come out, then it's going to get better and better for these kit bashings. One thing that I haven't got hold of yet, but I do want to, are the Wargames Atlantic Riflemen. And one of the things I want to see if I can use them for is Cazador, or Royal Lusitanian Legion, or Chasseurs Britanniques. All these different units, I want to see if you can make them out of those riflemen, maybe kit bashing them with a couple of other things. Because, you know, ultimately, you know, you're not going to need 60 riflemen, or however many you get in that box, that often. But if you can make more, shall we say, line-orientated units with them as well, then that's a good thing. And also the Shakos as well. The British infantry Shako, the stovepipe Shako, had a large brass plate on the front, but for light infantry it was a very small brass hunting horn motif for the light infantry. So you can buy them separately from Brigade Games. They're the old Victrix ones, but if you get those Shakos in with the rifles, in addition to things like the Tam O'Shanters that like Rifleman Harris wears in Sharp, then you know you're going to have some spare heads in there. I think there's some bare-headed options as well, so you can you know, as in like not wearing a Shako, not as in like they've got the head of a bear. Well, that would be pretty cool. Then you can use those extra Shakos, stick them on your Victrix infantrymen, and then you can build up your light infantry battalions that way as well. There is a real lack, and one of the things that is lacking in the plastic Rangers actually is light infantry. So, for instance, the French, they all had the briquette, and the officers had all the same type of boots as I pointed out on the chasseurs earlier on. But I think the only ones I can think of at the moment are the Warlord command, the metal command that you get in there for the light infantry has got those boots on. And I have to say, that is a really nice command set. You've got like the officer drawing his sword. He's wearing like a cloak. Not like a Superman cloak, but like a is it a manteau, I think it's called? One that you sort of drape over your shoulders. And he is really nice. He's a lovely figure. Yeah, the rest of the command, but that one, he's really nice. So I'll just crack on with these. Oh, that is one thing I would suggest with the artillery. The Imperial Guard artillery that I did. Let me just grab them a second. I've used the Chasseur bearskins on here. Now, they don't have the monkey's arse. The something Desange, I think it is, which is the bold patch on the back here. And that just reminded me when I was doing this here. So that's something that you can either cut it off, like flatten out a bit, and then paint on the symbol, which I think was crossed cannons, but I could be wrong on there. Or you do get the bearskins in one of the Victrix artillery sets. I think it's the early one. think it's 1804 to 1812 or something. I think you get the sorry about that. I think you get the proper bear skins in there. So that is the black there done. So let's just grab these briquettes. Dum, 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 dum. Gets painted down there. Now, one thing I always fail to paint, and I know I'm failing to paint it when I do it, but I just really can't be asked, is the little cap. The this one here. Where is it? There's a head on this sprue wearing one. This cap here, like the night cap, that was rolled up and placed underneath the cartridge pouch. So that's that thing there. But you've got to paint all the piping on it and everything. And it's one of those things where no one's ever going to see it. And I really, really can't be asked. But if you paint it, then good for you. You've got my respect for that. But that's one of those things where I'm just like, look, it's going to take me an extra hour or maybe 90 minutes to paint this battalion. And I'm just trying to cut down as much as possible and get the battalion on the table. That's the important thing for me. The Pocolem, that's right. Yeah, I couldn't remember the name of it. So I very nearly call it the Scrooge hat. So yeah, that's definitely not the technical term for it. There you go. All right, let's just make sure we do the other side of these. Something I've forgotten about in the past. And also the sides of the cartridge pouch. And get that one done as well. I think that's pretty much it for them. I've missed a bit on the side of the Shakos. I've got a couple more bear skins here. I'm not going to bother with those at the moment. So these guys are getting good to go. Like I say, I'm not entirely sure what I'm going to do with these guys yet. I might end up doing them as skirmishers for my Vistula Legion. But I don't need that many. I'll only need 4 per battalion. I mean, up to 6 per battalion, I guess. But these two, like I say, I'm going to turn those guys into some middle guard. Right, I'm just scrolling up on the chat now. I've got Peter Terry having to lead him in. Any tips on painting white Austrian infantry? I would highly recommend using the contrast paints now, if I'm honest. I would do them with the Corax white, bang the apothecary white over the top. I would call that done. However, if he's still on the chat, hopefully General Dan will pipe up, because his Austrians are much, much nicer than mine. He's gone for the more cream white, which is probably more historically accurate, whereas mine are white, which is less historically accurate, but more sort of traditional gamer Austrian colours, to be honest. Undercoat white and contrast basilicanum great. Yeah, I mean, yeah, that could work. Agree, Peter. I use lots of contrast my figures. Yeah, they've been so good for white. Anything with white on, these contrast paints are an absolute godsend. We tend to put a plume of cotton wool in disordered units. Oh, that's cool, actually. Yeah, no, that's a good idea. I do like my cotton wool for my firing. That's a good one. It's called the bag. Yes, the bag on top of the Busby. Yes, it is. I prefer sock, to be honest. Casualty figures, counters. Yep, get the parts out of the sprue, then paint the parts individually. Oh, Jesus. Ugh. No, that'd take forever. That wouldn't, Mr. Beard. Well, you know, good on you if that's what it works for you. Yorkshire Dragoon, we call them bags. Yep, no, that's cool. Tarleton helmet, the best looking headwear ever used by British Cav. I completely agree. I love the Tarleton helmet. I use it all the time. That's why I'm casting my own, because I don't want to not use it on the light Dragoons. I never think to do it. I just get into production line of paint, building, undercoating, painting. If that's what works for you, then keep doing it, Dom. It's whatever works for you, buddy. Is there any plastic kit for generic British heavy dragoons, or can you? Not yet, Andreas. However, watch this space because the Victrix are doing British heavy dragoons. I'm not sure whether you're going to get the bicorn with them though. So they wore bicorns in the Peninsula and helmets probably towards the end of the Peninsula, maybe 1814, and also at Waterloo. So I don't know if you'll be getting the bicorns in the set or not. You should do. I mean, I can't really see a reason why you wouldn't. But who knows? Maybe they had like a different number of buttons on their cuffs or something that people would complain about. So they might not do it. I'm not 100% certain. But no, there's no generic plastic British Dragoons at the moment. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out. I guess you could, thinking about it off the top of my head, I'd need to do a little bit more research. No, I was going to say you could use these guys that I'm using for the Portuguese. But you can't really, because the British Dragoons have got like a yellow stripe that runs down the middle. I guess you could paint that on. Warlord British Union Brigade box has lots of options for heavy dragoons. It does, Dom, yes. I'll be honest though, I'm not a huge fan of that set. I'm really not. You know me, I'm no Warlord hater, but that set I was not hugely impressed with. I didn't really like their Household Cavalry one either. I'm quite looking forward to Victrix bringing those out. Whenever they do, we're still waiting on the Bavarians. But yeah, we'll see. Can I talk more about the conversion for the Young Guard and Middle Guard? I'm interested in doing the same. I can. Bear with me a second, chaps. I am just going to disappear for 2 minutes, and I'm going to grab the Middle Guard heads because I've left them downstairs. So just bear with me. Right, so while I was down there, I grabbed the box as well. So let's get the box on the screen. Let me just move that out of the way a little bit. Let me move this up. Right, so this is the Napoleon's Middle Guard box here. Now, if you're ever planning on buying plastic guard, this is the box to get. If you want Old Guard or Young Guard, Old Guard, Grenadiers or Chasseurs, this is the box to go for. The individual boxes they do are very good, but I would recommend this one. Now, the reason I would recommend this one is because if I open it up, you can see I don't normally do unboxings. Maybe I should do more unboxing videos. I always find them a bit boring, if I'm honest, which is why I don't do them. Right, so what you get is you get 4 sprues. Now you get one sprue like this. So let's move that out of the way for now. We can zoom back in a little bit. There we go. So you get this sprue here. Now this is the Chasseur sprue. You can tell because the bearskins have no front plates on. So these guys are the Chasseurs. You get 2 of these. You also get 2 of the Old Guard Grenadier sprues as well. So you also get 2 of these. Now this is very different from when I originally bought my Victrix boxes. They've really changed what you get in there. So my how to start
collecting Imperial Guard video does need a lot of revisions already. Actually, it's already quite out of date. So this is the Old Guard Grenadiers. You can see because they've got the plates on the front of their shakos. So you get 2 of these as well. Now on each of the sprues you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. There's just a guy off the bottom of the picture there. Let's have a look. There we go. Let me cover this over because that's a bit distracting. There we go. Right. So you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 regular bodies, of which 4 are in march attack pose. And you get the 3 commanders as well. So it's actually a grenadier that I took off the artillery there. Now with the bodies of the chasseurs, let me find the sprue. Here we go. So you can see this is the chasseur sprue. There's some missing off this one. So there's the guys there and the officer. That's because they're the ones that I used for the cannon conversion that I showed you earlier on. I've still got the march attack ones left over, and I can turn those into a battalion. You look on the flash here, though. There's quite a lot of flash on these guys. These are fairly old sprues by now. They might need a recalibration. Now, 2 other things that you do get in this box there. So, sorry, so I skipped ahead a little bit there. Because you get 15 on each sprue, you do, however, I'm going to go back to the Grenadiers, you do get 3 commands. So realistically, you've only got 12 that you can use. So that gives you 24. Then you get the 3 commands, so you've got 27. Now, if you want battalions of 36, which is what I use, you're still 9 guys short. So that's where you use 9 of the other guys. So for instance, you want to do chasseurs, well, you use 9 of the Grenadiers, or vice versa. Because as you can see, I've got 15 guys here. Oh, sorry, 12 regular guys here, because the officers wear bicorns. And I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 bearskins. So I've got spare bearskins as well. I've got 28 bearskins altogether. So you can do it that way as well. You can also use, do you get bear heads in there? No, I don't think you do. But if you've got heads from other kits lying around, you can always use those as well. So you get 2 each of those sprues, and you get this, which is cool. You used to get a little booklet which had all the flags in, and it also gave you all the instructions on how to build them. So that was cool. It doesn't have the flags in anymore, but what it does have is on the back the stats for black powder. So that's quite cool. I mean, this is for the middle guard. It gives you their stats. Reliable, elite 4+, hand-to-hand 7, shooting 4, morale 3+. So I think that's pretty cool. It's not as good as the flags. It's certainly not as useful as the flags, but it's something just a little bit cooler. Now, I have been burying the lead on this box. I have not told you that you also get these as well. Now, let's get a zoom in on these. There we go. This is a sprue of middle guard shakos. Now, I say they're middle guard. There's nothing particularly middle guardy about them because they are all covered shako. So they've all got the shako covers on. So you can't see the thing that makes them the guard, which is the eagle as opposed to the lozenge. So that's why I say that I'm going to use these shakos here. I'm going to use this shako here with the eagle on to make my middle guard. Now, I don't necessarily want to use the great-coated bodies because I can use those for other things. I can use those for chasseurs or grenadiers or whatever. And I can just use the regular these guys. I can just use the regular Perry's bodies with the tailcoats, and they can represent my middle guard. So that's what I'm planning on doing with them. That's going to be a little bit of a longer term project though, because obviously I need to get together all these figures. I need to finish off the chasseurs and the Portuguese Dragoons, and then I need to get the shakos done and stuck on. You see, you've got the shooting arm and the loading arm. So I'll be you get the shooting arm here and the loading arm. Another shooting arm. This guy looks like he's probably advancing, but you could use him to make ready. This guy looks like he's loading. So there's a mixture of arms that you can use on there, but you also get all the spare arms in the in with the middle guard that I bought originally as well. So I've got this is a particularly nice arm, actually. I really like this one. This one here, where he's priming the frizzen pan. That's quite a nice one. That guy there is loading. It's not quite as nice as the Perry one. So you've got some nice variation there as well. So that's going to be a medium to long-term plan. Now the young guard, as I say, they had different cuffs. Theirs were a lot straighter. In fact, these look quite straight as well, actually. So you could probably make them out of these. They're a bit beefy because they're obviously supposed to be greatcoats, so they're a bit beefier than normal arms. But you know, they're young men. They work out a lot, shall we say? So that's the plan for them. That's why I bought the middle guard box instead of the old guard grenadiers or chasseurs, because they do them in individual boxes. So my recommendation would be you're much better off buying 2 lots of these than you are a box of old guard and a box of a box of old guard grenadiers and a box of old guard chasseurs. You're much better off getting 2 boxes of middle guard and doing them that way, because you effectively get all of these covered shakos for free, which is really nice. Now, one of the things that I wouldn't use them for the young guard is because they've all got moustaches. Now, I know it sounds silly, but the young guard were younger guys, so having all these giant handlebar moustaches probably not the most suitable for them. But you can always just use the regular shakos for the young guard. I think the young guard might have had the lozenge as well. I'm not sure about that. If they had the eagle, again, you can just use the well, that's the elite sprue, so there won't be any on there. But you can just use the covered shakos with the little pom pom on the top, and that'll do you for the young guard. Yes, the guy at Victrix figured the flags would cost extra. Sticking in the bag would increase the margin. Yeah, absolutely. It's a shame because you used to get them in the boxes, and it was a nice little extra. Certainly, the Perrys give you them, the Warlord give you them, but Victrix obviously decided not to, and I think that's a bit of a shame, to be honest, because Victrix, you know, back in the day when they were a brand new up and coming company, they had pages of flags that you could buy, but you also got some in the box as well. Now, one thing I will say, the ones in the box, the paper quality was terrible, so you're always better off buying them anyway. But it just gave you that as an additional incentive to buy them. So that's a bit of a shame, I think. So just having a quick check through the chat. Austrian bone primer / light grey washing jacket only. Off-white tracks facing colour. Gore grunt. Yeah, fair enough. Sounds reasonable. Victrix proves reliable again. Yeah, Victrix is good. I do like Victrix, but it's just a bit of a shame. Is there really no sound? Is the sound gone? Well, the sound must be still on, because Andreas is asking me a question. How young is young? Because I've seen some 18-year-olds with impressive facial hair. Yeah. All right. Cheers, Louis. Oh no. Sorry. Yeah, I've turned the sound off on my my computer altogether. Yes. No. Well, that's true. Actually. Yeah. I mean, you know, they're. I've seen some 18-year-olds with attempted moustaches. They're pretty terrible. But I don't know. It's a weird one with the young guard. They're always an interesting thing when it comes to their status, because they were technically conscripts, and they had conscripts on all their wagons and stuff, but they used to make it super small and hope that no one would see it, which has always made me chuckle. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, they were guard. I think they were paid as guard as well. But yeah, I don't know. It's from me right now. Says, "Oh, right, okay, fair enough." Yes, while I was down, I also grabbed the glue as well, which I forgot to bring up with me. So yeah, I don't normally paint up here, but it is very nice for the light. It's very good for casting. But sometimes the light, if it's too sunny, it's getting that way now because it's an east-facing window. The light can come in and rather wash everything out. But luckily, it's not too bad today. that's why I scheduled the cast a little bit earlier than I've done in the past, because the sun's not quite round this far yet. So I'm just going to do the brass buttons here. The thing I find with the brass is it really helps make the miniature pop, just by adding those little bits in the middle of the dark blue, or dark green in this case. It really helps the model stand out. So there we go. It gives some shape to the uniform, I find. So let's make sure I'm on camera. There we are. Get these. I bought myself a new mount for the camera using the first of the membership money. So thank you very much to the channel's members. So it's like an angle poise lamp, but it's got like a clip on the end. That's what's enabled me to pull it up and down while I've been talking about those middle guards. So thank you very much to you guys for helping me out on that one. It's definitely made this process a lot simpler than it was before. Again, as a bit of a behind the curtain confession, last one I used my microphone boom. So this was last Easter, where I did some live streams. I used my microphone boom with my phone, which I was using as my camera, rubber banded to the boom. Now the problem with that is in order to operate it, I needed to be able to touch the screen. So I had this like swinging down on these rubber bands while I was trying to film. Yeah, I mean, it works all right. It got the job done. But certainly having this this arm here that I can move up and down is much, much better. So just get that one there. Just talking of the channel's members. Hello, Robin. That was perfectly well timed. Did you say it was in the loft? Yes. I mean, well, we call it an attic here in the north of England. I don't know if it's a loft down south or like abroad, but yeah, it's up right at the top of the house, which is quite good because we're on a hill, so we get the sun up here. You get direct sunlight, probably 8 hours a day. I'd have thought. It's not too shoddy at all. I'm just continuing with the brass here. I've done those ones up there. Now, one of the things I really like about this kit, actually, is this body here. I'll certainly be using all of those. It's a guy who's got his blanket across his chest. Now, they used to use these as protection from saber cuts. And apparently, it was actually quite good. Better than you'd think. It's quite thick. And also, you would wrap stuff in there as well. So you could wrap your provisions or any loot and things like that in there. So it actually provided some pretty good protection against saber cuts. It's also worth thinking as well about how sharp these swords actually were. They'd be ground down to be super sharp at the start of the battle. But, once you've been sort of clubbing each other with it and things like that, I imagine they would lose their edge pretty quickly. So, yeah, it certainly could save you against a saber cut. And it also just adds a little bit of variation to the unit as well. So, no, I really like those. I think I might put them on the flankers just to show that they're maybe a little bit more wrapped and ready for action than the main unit. In Northants, it's a loft. Actually, posh southerners down there, man. That's what it is. Swords were more like clubs. Yeah, no, I can imagine they were. I mean, they wouldn't have been very high grade steel. I guess officers' swords probably would be. Again, depending on what nation you were in and what stage of the war. If you could get hold of Toledo blades or something like that, then I'm sure they were very good. Or Wilkinson's sword from here in Sheffield. I'm sure they made an officer's pattern, which was a much better quality than the standard one. So there we go. Just quickly quickly do these. I'm just going to do the chasseur ones here. Oh dear, my pointer's split. That's not good. See if I can get this done before I retrain that. So has anyone else got any painting done this morning? Anyone else working on anything? What armies are going to be marching out of people's homes when lockdown finally gets lifted? That's the thing I'm looking forward to. General Dan and I are already planning our next big project. Let's see, Louis doing some Austrians. Sheffield, I thought you said you were in the north. Well, it is north, man. You wouldn't tell Sean Bean he's not in the north from the north, would you? I used to live in Essex. Trust me, man. This is north. I used to live in Hampshire as well, actually. So it's definitely north compared to Hampshire. Frank's doing this morning Perry's ACW. Oh, very nice. I've just bought a box of their Zouaves, actually. I'm looking forward to getting those done. I'm going to do half of them as a New York Zouave battalion, and the other half I want to convert into 1914 French Zouaves. So I'm looking forward to that project. That's one for the future, though. I'm doing my Calpe Saxon Infantry. Oh, how are they, Clive? I have been looking at those recently because of the project that General Dan and I are going to be doing. They're going to be quite useful for that. So I'm not going to say any more until it's ready for the announcement. But how are you finding them? You enjoy them? Russian officers are done and ready to be based. Very good. I'd like to see some more Russians. Rusty Gold, I have Morawski, Polish Vistula half done. Oh, very nice. I bought their brigade deal or regimental deal, whatever it was, that they do recently, the £150 one. I did tell the guy that there was no rush, so I am still waiting for it. But hopefully they'll arrive soonish, because, I said it's not like I'm running out of figures to paint, is it? Just finished some Russians in readiness for new musket and tomahawks. Okay, interesting. Ragtag 28th British Regiment for the Peninsula War, very nice. Cleaning up Perry 12-pounder cannons. Wheels cast a bit lopsided. Oh dear, no, I'm sure it is. Are you having to straighten that out? Are the spokes bent, are they? Clearing out a few Vikings here, then on to Carthaginians. Once those done, I'll get started on Redcoat. I've just, when I got the Victrix Middle Guard, I also bought in the same order the Victrix Roman Generals and the Roman Cavalry. I've got quite a big Republican Roman army as well, which I work on now and then. So yes, I have been building them. Their horses they look absolutely humongous. They look like 32 mil. They look almost like Games Workshop size. But when you actually put them all together, they actually work better than you think they're going to, or better than I thought they were going to. So I highly recommend the Victrix Roman stuff. I've not tried their Carthaginians. I think I've done a box of maybe their Citizen Levy, or maybe I haven't. I can't remember. I've done someone Citizen Levy. I guess it must be those. Last year I did approximately 100 Zouaves. Bloody hell. Cool. I look forward to seeing that next week then, because like I say, I've got plenty to do myself. They are nice figures. General Dan, he has some as well, and he's doing the Confederates. I've got a Union army, and I'm trying to get him to do the Louisiana Tigers, but I don't know where he's going to or not. I reckon he probably will. I can probably bully him into doing it. Don't bully people. Bullying people's bad. But if it's to improve his hobby, then I'm sure he'll do it. Painting Black Seas British and Victrix Old Guard French. How's that going, Wraith? I have just rigged basically all of my American ships, and it took me doing the rigging. So I did the Constitution was the first ship I did, and it sat on my shelf for about 9 months because I just couldn't bring myself to do the rigging. And I had a week off work. I had to use up my holiday basically in end of January. And so I was like, right, that's it. I'm going to use this opportunity to face my fears and rig the ships. And I did one. I did the Constitution. And I absolutely loved it. So I quickly did all the others while I could still have the enthusiasm for it. But I haven't painted them yet. So I rigged them without painting them. That was probably the wrong thing to do. So yeah, no, let me how your Black Seas British going. I want to do some more naval stuff, but it's just fitting it in with everything else, really. 71st Highlander Light Infantry nearly done. Painted the diced bands. Oh, blimey. Yeah, no, well, rather you than me, brother. Even the socks were a bit too far for me. So yeah, absolute respect for doing that one. It's the little green squares in the middle where the lines up and across meet that did for me. Finishing AB miniatures vignettes. Oh, lovely! Yeah, I really like AB miniatures. They do some lovely stuff. I think are they the 18mm ones? If I didn't have more 50mm Victrix, 50mm Essex French than I'd know what to do with, then I definitely would have gone AB. But the Essex ones, they are not great sculpts. Do not get me wrong, they are not good. However, I absolutely love them. They've got so much like character in. They're like little pigmen. They're brilliant. I love the Essex stuff. But the AB ones do look really, really nice. They're the animation on their figures is absolutely phenomenal. I really, really like the AB stuff. They are magnificent sculpts. This is the Calpe stuff. The Calpe Saxons. An absolute joy to paint so many variations in poses. Okay, no, that's cool. Yeah, that's a good recommendation. I only need, I think, 3 battalions of 24, so it's not too many. Or sorry, or is that the Murasaki? The Murasaki polls. Let me scroll up a bit. No, you are doing the Calpe Saxons. I thought so, yeah. Oh, that's cool, because I had a quick shufty on their website yesterday, and I didn't think there were that many. Or was that maybe Black Hussar I was looking at? It might have been Black Hussar miniatures I was looking at, actually. That they don't have many. But they do some nice Wahhabists, which I require for my Ottoman army. But I might end up getting the Peri-Afghan tribesmen for that one. Speaking of the Perrys, I had someone leave a comment on my Muhammad Ali Pasha video the other day. So he was a guy. If you've not seen the video, he's a fascinating guy. His meteoric rise is, as impressive as Napoleon's, I think. Perhaps even more so because it's in a much more cutthroat world. But he went from being the son of a tax collector to being basically the emperor of Egypt, which was quite impressive. And I said in that video that the troops who he commanded were the Bashi Basuks, who are Albanian light infantrymen. So they're sort of like tribal sort of guys. Not tribal as in like, native tribesmen, but very tribal as in, they would form a family group, a bit like Spanish guerrillas, I guess. So yeah, he commanded the Bashi Basuks, and I said, that's my second favorite regiment after the Bazingas. And this guy was like, who are the Bazingas? I googled them, and all I got was Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. I can't think of anything worse than Sheldon Cooper from The Big Bang Theory. So I still need to reply to him that they were Sudanese irregulars. But I just thought this poor guy looking for some cool figures, and he's having to scroll through like 50 pages of Google results of Sheldon Cooper. Poor bastard. I did a LED video for tabletop. Okay, that sounds good. Working on some French voltigeur skirmishers from Elite Miniatures. Now, Elite Miniatures, they are how shall we say, they are an acquired taste, I find. I found a really old Wargames Illustrated from like 1995 or something the other day, and that had adverts for Elite Miniatures. And I remember when they were, I remember looking at it being like, oh, those guys are awesome. But I think they're very much of their time now. But that said, I think there's a lot to be said for that. I've just bought last year a High Elf army for Warhammer back from when I was getting into Warhammer. So all the figures are from like the 1990s, and I've really, really enjoyed finding all these old sculpts and buying them up. Because yeah, spending money. I enjoy spending money. I don't have any, but I enjoy spending it. But more importantly than that, it's also got obviously the nostalgia of the figures that I wanted when I was a kid. I'd look at them in White Dwarf, be like, oh, they're awesome, but I could never afford them. But also, it's incredible how well the sculpts have stood up. I mean, they're mostly Jez Goodwin sculpts, but some of them not so much. They're very two-dimensional, but some of them are absolutely lovely. That you could sort of look at them now. You could release them now, and I don't think people would think they were from the early 90s. It just goes to show that people like the Perrys or like I say, Jez Goodwin, people like that, their sculpting is so good. It's almost timeless. There's stuff that maybe hasn't aged so well. Stuff like the Perry's Chaos Dwarf range hasn't aged so well. But I think that's more a sort of, because they're caricatures, that the fashions, the trends have changed. So there's nothing wrong with the sculpts themselves. It's just people don't really want that caricature anymore. Whereas you look at their Assyrians, which I have been painting some of recently, and again, you know, these sculpts, they're from the early 90s. They're 30 years old. But, I mean, they're as good as sculpts that are being released today. They really have stood up. So, some of the Elite stuff, I absolutely agree. I think it's really stood up. Some of their stuff, it's more their style, I think, has maybe not kept up with what I like for figures. But if you like them, or if they give you that nostalgia, or they match with the other 10,000 figures you've got, then absolutely go for it, mate. I think that's a really cool thing you've got there. Essex are very dated. Yes, they are very, very dated. They really, really are. They are, like I say, though, like I just said about the Elite Minis and the old High Elves. I just love them. I just love how it's like minifigs. I love 15mm minifigs because they're little and dumpy. Oh no, it's not minifigs. It's Mike models that are little dumpy ones. That's just, they're so full of character. I love them. I'm giving rigging a miss for my own sanity. Yeah, you know what, man? I do not blame you at all. However, give it a go. I found it quite relaxing, quite cathartic, actually. I really enjoyed the rigging. I was absolutely against doing it, but then on the other hand, I was like, I think the ships look a lot better with it. So I was torn, and I put it off for ages. And then when I finally got around to doing it, I absolutely loved rigging the ships. One of the problems I've got, though, is, in fact, I might go and grab them in a second. I've got them next door. One of the problems I've got with them is the metal masts. They get bent because you've obviously got to get quite a lot of tension to keep the lines taut. Now, I say lines, if I don't know much about horses, and I don't, I know even less about ships. And there are people out there who know absolutely everything there is to know about ships. I think my limit is splice the main brace. That's the biggest rope, and you get a double tot of rum for splicing the main brace. And that is probably about it, to be honest. Yeah, tops to gallants as well. That was an order that was given to people, I think. But then the fighting top is a platform. I don't really know. I don't know. I know absolutely nothing about ships. I've done a few Republican Romans and their Gauls. They were excellent. The Carthaginians and Numidians look just as good. Yes, no, the Numidians. When I saw them, they only did infantry. Or was that? That might be Wargames Factory that only did Numidian infantry. But again, for Maxi Minis, Numidians and unarmored Carthaginians are incredible. An unarmored Carthaginian figure, he can be basically anyone from anywhere in the Near East. So, you know, Greece, Turkey, well, Asia Minor it would have been then, Illyria, right round to sort of Egypt, Libya, anywhere around there. Basically anything that was settled by the Phoenicians or, you know, even Jewish revolt, anything like that. They're phenomenal figures, really, really useful. If you want something to match your mini, a dude in like a shift with a spear and a shield and sort of, you know, frizzy hair, he is absolutely the way to go. You can do almost anything with that guy. Probably 80 million. Yeah, they are the 80 million ones. I thought they were. Yeah. I love the history from different units. Talks great when painting the units. Are you doing any on the Italians? Napoleonic Italians. I have done some. I've done the guard. So I bought a regiment of Old Guard from eBay, the front rank ones, and I was like, oh, I've already got like a load of Grenadiers, Old Guard Grenadiers. I've already got 2 battalions. I can't really justify a 3rd battalion. So I put the call out on Napoleonic Wargamer. And yes, you're right. I have seen some of your figures on Napoleonic Wargamer, and they are very nice. To see what could I do with them. And someone said, have you thought about Italian Guard? So I was like, oh, well, no, I hadn't. So I had a very quick look into them. And yes, so I now have a battalion of Italian Guard Grenadiers. Were they the V-Lights of the Guard? Or Velite of the Guard, or are they the Chasseur equivalent? I can't remember. But I've got a battalion of them, and I need some line infantry to go with them. I'm also going to do a deep dive Napoleonic figure video on Eugène de Beauharnais. So that was Napoleon's stepson, the son of Josephine, and he is not only is he better than Grouchy. He is a fascinating dude. He really is an interesting guy. So I want to get some Italians painted up for when I talk about him, because he was made the Viceroy of Italy. So Napoleon's son was crowned King of Italy. But obviously he was like 2 or something. So Napoleon needed someone to rule until he became, until he became old enough to rule for himself. A regent, that's the word I'm trying to think of. And Napoleon installed Eugène as regent of Italy, so he commanded the Italian armies. And in 1814, Napoleon's fighting his way through France. He's doing a fighting withdrawal, and the Austrians, they were like, well, we want to get Italy back, because before the Italian campaign of 1796, 97, Italy was part of the Austrian Empire, not the Austro-Hungarian Empire, which I've used the term for in the past. And people got very upset with, because the Austro-Hungarian Empire came later, apparently. So they were part of the Austrian Empire. And so the Austrians in 1814, they were like, well, we want Italy back. So there was a separate campaign fought between an Austrian corps, effectively, and the army of Italy. So I don't really know much about it, if I'm honest. It's something that I'm researching at the moment. And it's something I'm very, very, very looking forward to finding out more about. This is where I said the sun comes around. Let me move position, because we're getting a bit washed out there, aren't we? So hang on, let me just shuffle around a little bit. Let's move this so it's a bit more in the shade. There we go, very professional. Let's be honest, if you're here for professionalism, you're gonna have a bad time, aren't you? There we go. So tilt that around a little bit. There we are. Right. I mean, we're coming up to 12:30 now. I was planning on running this till about 1 o'clock-ish. Let's see how the sun goes, because it is quite clear out there. Like I say, I don't really want the sun to bleach everything out. So I'm going to run it. Well, let's see how it goes. It'll certainly be the next 10-15 minutes. And I think the sun might come around a bit too much to see very well. Let me see. Just checking the old comments. Hello, one black powder rule question. Which is better, skirmish screens or separate voltigeur units for the whole brigade? Well, there's two things there. One is going to be a practical thing, so it's moving around, 36 individually based figures, or if you're doing a whole brigade, you're looking at maybe, six regiments worth, or 6 battalions worth, sorry. So you might be moving around 216 figures individually. I mean, you could do that if you want, but that's not something I want to be part of. Or separate skirmish screens on the original thing. Well, I mean, I guess rules-wise, you would be best off having a whole battalion in skirmish order in front of your attack columns. That would be because they would be at -1 to hit for being in skirmish order, and it makes sure that they are taking all the shots that will be aimed at the columns behind them. That said, they've only got a 4-up save, so if they will rack up the casualties eventually, particularly if they're against armies with very heavy firepower. So I'm thinking British and Austrians in particular in that case. That said, I don't know. I tend not to use skirmishes very much, and the reason is because I'm quite lazy. if I'm perfectly honest. I would suggest you go for individual battalion skirmishes, just because that would seem to make more sense to me than having entire battalions in skirmish order. That said, if you're doing particularly early, if you're doing 1805, you could quite conceivably have an entire battalion in skirmish order. I've recently changed how I've done skirmishing battalions. So something like Grenza, or my Bashi Basouks, talking about earlier on, or what would be another regiment or battalion, sorry, that's basically all in skirmish order. Can't think of any off the top of my head, but certainly for those two, Grenza and Bashi Basouks, I've done half of the battalion in close order and half skirmishing. So I've done 3 bases of 4 that have got the colours and the officers, if they've got colours. So my Bashi Basouks do. And then I've done the other 12 as skirmishers. So I count them as like a mixed unit formation. The reason is, I can't imagine that the entire battalion would break down into skirmish order. I think you'd always need that that core to remain formed, just so you can quickly react to if cavalry appear or take in and out troops. So for argument's sake, the 1st, 2nd, 3rd company are formed, 4th, 5th, and 6th are skirmishing. Well, you could swap out, say the 1st battalion. They could swap out for the 4th battalion, so they form up into the line. They get some more ammunition. They, have a drink, have something to eat, all that stuff. And then when the rotation comes around again, then they go out skirmishing. So I don't know. I don't know how much historical precedence there is for that, but I find that works best on the tabletop. Otherwise, you end up just having like hordes of skirmishers, and it looks a little bit like a sort of, you're playing bolt action. I'm sure there'll be people in the comments who know far more about small unit tactics than I do when it comes to Napoleonic stuff. So if any of you guys know, then please let us know, because I am not 100% certain. What else we got? I have a box of Austrian Hussars in the post. More to get the officer pistol arm to do an infantry officer modification. Do you think they will do Hungarian infantry in plastic? I don't know. I don't know. The thing is with the Perrys, they kind of seem to do what they want to do. If I'm honest, I'd be surprised if they do. But then, on the same token, I wouldn't be massively surprised if they did. For me, I would probably just paint the Austrians with blue trousers. I know it's certainly not ideal, but that's probably the approach that I would take. Do I paint in the retro style? Well, obvious, I have not yet. I am very tempted to give them goblin green bases for the full classic 90s action, but I've not painted any orange on them, so they're obviously not real 90s minis. Shring 7, I have some Mike's models in 50mm. Yeah, top man. I've got some Polish Wing Hussars and some Renaissance. In fact, I'm going to grab some Renaissance. These are the Mike's models I was just mentioning earlier on. They're absolutely lovely. I think they're so super cool. Look how little he is on the horse. No, I think they're great. He needs basing properly, but no, I love him. I absolutely love him. I've got like a whole drawer full of them, and I'm just waiting to get the opportunity to paint them because they're just so, like I say, they're so characterful. Are they good minis? No, they're not. They're terrible minis, but they're just, I love them. I absolutely love them. So I'm just sort of trying a few things here. I'm just getting some faces painted. I've just grabbed my snakebite leather as well, and I'm trying to find the the dragoon trousers that I did. Here we are. So let's get them going on. So I'm going to pop a post up of these later on because they're going to need a little bit of work on before they're ready for showing. I'm going to need to pop off a British dragoon, light dragoon, off his horse and replace him with his Portuguese. So I'm going to try and get a picture of one up today. It may end up being during the week though. Let's get that on there. I'm trying to avoid the blue. I don't really need to though. The blue is much darker than the brown. You see here where the sprue attaches to the leg. That's going to need touching up after I've cut them off. These are very big connections. They're bigger than most. So that's a bit of a shame, but that's no problem. I can get that done with the contrasts when I trim the legs off. I could have cut that off, to be honest, and just had him secured by the bottom of his feet. Probably should have done that, to be honest. I've not done any of the others yet. Not done these yet, so I might end up doing that before I paint those. So let's go here. Sorry, this is going to be out of focus for a second. Need to get in behind there. And this as well. Nice and flat again. Hello, one back powder. What is? Oh, right, yep, no, I've done that one. All I had to do was a knife of the boots. Knife of the boots to do it. Yeah, exactly. That's. I mean, you can paint the yellow knots on if you want to as well. They don't necessarily need to be modelled on. So, Robert, you use elastic easy. Like, you know what? That is something I hadn't thought about. That's a really good idea. Yeah, if when you're rigging your ships, if you use elastic, then they'll pull themselves taut, won't they? So that is not a bad shout at all. Yeah, I rigged it. I was really happy with the Constitution. Came back, and the masts had been bent a little bit, and it only needs a millimeter for them to bend. And suddenly the whole rigging goes slack, and it looks a little bit shit. So what I've done in the end is I've run a very small amount of super glue on some of them, which has stiffened them up. And I need to do that on the rest of them, really. But the plastics are, they've been fine so far. That said, I'm going to go and grab them in a bit. And I've not really looked at them in about 2 months. So hopefully they're still all okay. So I'm just going on again with the leather reinforcement on the inside of these trousers. I think they're going to look quite nice. I've left that white bit there because that's going to be scraped off when I come to gluing him on the horse. Now, someone I just saw did mention about gluing them together after I've finished painting them on the sprue. I didn't see the full question though, so bear with me and I shall have scroll up and I shall have a look. Russell Guyver. Hello, Russell. Great to see you painting on sprue. Seems like such a good idea. Well, you know, it works for me. When you come to gluing the parts together, doesn't the paint go funny? Use plastic glue or super glue or scrape the paint off. Now, you can scrape the paint off. You probably should scrape the paint off. I do when there's large connections, but I use super glue. Now, I use super glue for two reasons. One, obviously, the plastic glue won't work if there's paint in the way. So that's one reason. The other reason is, and it's this is a sort of change of opinion that I've had, was before I used to want to make the bond as strong as possible. Now all that changed when I dropped a friend's high elf prince. Now this is a sad story for him because he's a great painter. I mean, he is a really good painter. In fact, he's been painting up a load of stuff for General Dan professionally. And I dropped one of his figures and snapped his sword in half. So it wasn't like the figure had the sword arm glued on at the shoulder. I dropped him and the sword snapped in half. It was it was really bad. I still feel terrible about it now. This was like 10 years ago. So after that, I thought, well, if the joint at the shoulder had been weaker, it would have just snapped the whole arm off, which obviously would have been just, you know, you scrape it off and you glue it back on again. Whereas as it was, he had to eventually cut the arm off and completely replace the arm. He probably could have just done it at the wrist, to be honest. But he's a bit of a drama queen, so so he cut the whole arm off and then had to replace the whole arm. Whereas the stronger the joint at the shoulder, it meant that the weak point was a bit further down. So if you super glue someone on, that doesn't give you as strong a bond. But it means if it gets rattled around in the box or someone drops it or, you know, the cat comes in and decides to do a belly flop on top of him, then it means that the arm will snap off, but the musket won't snap halfway along the barrel or something like that. So it's much easier just to glue the model back together at the shoulder than it would be to either replace a broken weapon or have to then cut it off and replace the whole arm anyway. So that's the second reason why I use super glue. But the main one is because it just saves me having to scrape all the paint off when I have done it. The sun in the north, whatever next. I know, exactly. Yeah. Well, what is the temperature at the moment? It's 12 degrees, according to my thermometer. But it's blowing a gale out there, so I don't know what it is, what it feels like out there. Sun now, but it was snowing this morning. Yeah, we had a bit of snow this morning. John Wayne Everett, hello from the USA. Nice to see you, buddy. Last question for me, Andreas. Absolutely no problem at all, my friend. You ask as many questions as you want. That's what makes doing these channels and videos as good as it can be, is when people ask the questions. So absolutely do not worry that you're asking too many questions, because nothing could be further from the truth. What's the best way to look up uniforms and units? Osprey, or is there something better for the noob? That's a really good question. I would recommend the uniforms of the Napoleonic Wars, I think it's called. It's 25 quid. I'm just if I've gone quiet, it's because I'm turning around looking to see if I've got any of them around here. No, it doesn't look like I do. That's a shame. But they do different ones. They've done like the Roman world. They do the 19th century. But it's got all the different uniforms of all the nations. It's hardback. Like I say, it's about 25 quid. So that's a really good book. The Ospreys are better because they're obviously more specific. But because they're more specific, they can be quite expensive. You can get them on Amazon or, you know, various sellers, maybe a £5 quid each. But, you know, if you want 10, then suddenly you're looking at 50 quid. They can really, really mount up. The best thing I've found really is just Google. Just type in, so for instance, I've just typed in, when having this chat about the Middle Guard, I typed in Napoleon's Middle Guard and up came, clicked on images and up came a load of stuff, because I wanted just to make sure I wasn't talking complete rubbish about the collars, about the cuffs, sorry, which it turned out I wasn't, so that was a nice. No one was more surprised about that than me. But yeah, so Google is a really, really good resource as well. Facebook pages, you know, people put stuff up there all the time. So Ospreys, yes, but that wouldn't necessarily be my first port of call. I would probably only get that for the things that I was going to do a lot of. So, for instance, French line. Well, I mean, they're all the same. You see, we'll look at one picture of French line and just paint everyone like that, really. But then for the Max Your Minis series of videos, I've bought the British foreign units in British service, I think it's called. There's 2 volumes of that now, because that's got a dozen different units in each, and they're all individual. They're all different from each other. That, I think, was a really good buy. So it depends really on what you're after. For most of the countries that have the same uniform, so the French and the Prussians, I think they have the same, or certainly the 1815 Prussians have the same facings. Russians will be the same. I mean, post 1809 Russians would be the same. Just Google images is perfectly fine for that. Another thing that I find, you'll see them a lot in my videos, are the Perrys. Go on the Perry website, look up their 1806 Prussian infantry or whatever it is you're after, and they've got loads of painted examples on their website. Another one that's worth looking at is Wargames Foundry. Now that's quite an old site these days. It used to be the premier manufacturer for these things. Perry's used to work for them. They've fallen out of favour a little bit in more recent times because they've not really modernised, which is a shame. They've got a load of resources on their website as well. So look under downloads on their website, and they've got quite a bit of stuff as well. I'm just grabbing this box. Let me see if that can that provide a little bit of shade. No, not really. Sun's a bit too high, isn't it? That's a shame. But yeah, so the Osprey book's very, very good. But wouldn't be my first port of call. Google and or Facebook probably would be. Love me some Digby Smith for uniforms. You know what? I've been every Saturday morning, I like to get up early and I'd sort of keep my week time routine going on. And I'll watch something on Amazon Prime. I don't have Netflix. I've only got Amazon Prime. And I've just started watching a series on Napoleon's life. It's like a 9 or 10 part series. And Digby Smith is one of the talking heads on it. And I don't think I've ever seen him before. He does not look how I imagined he would look. Let's put it that way. He certainly knows his stuff, though. That is faux shizzle. Let me see. Where are we? Brendan and Libby, well, it's dark here in New Zealand. Oh, well, hello from New Zealand. Could you use the 1808, 1812 for Westphalia or Cleveburg? You absolutely can use them for Westphalia. General Andy did that in our last battle report. He had Westphalians. Or Cleveburg. No, I'm not 100% about Cleveburg. Hang on, because I got the Osprey for them. Oh no, I'm lying. It's the Osprey for Oldenburg. So sorry, I don't know. I'll have to look into that. I'm gonna do a Maxing Your Minis on that set, and that will certainly be one I look at. All the French satellite states will be ones that I look at for that one. I'm sure I've got the Cleveburg one somewhere. But yeah, no, they're all the French satellite states. I think they're useful for to some degree. I will need to have another look at them specifically, though. Pitt says you can make a lot of Confederation of the Rhine units from the alter period French. Yeah, so there you go. You made the 4th Rhinebund Regiment. Yeah, no, absolutely. I'm going to do a Max Your Minis on that one, and I'm going to do a full list of the units I think you can make out of them. It's going to be a lot. I'm going to pretty much give up on the painting now because of the sunlight situation. What I want to do before we go, though, is I'm going to put this box in the way. Hang on. This is the box that my stand came in, actually. How's that looking? It's not very well balanced though. There we go. Andreas, you should try and find Elting's Napoleonic uniform series. He's certainly very comprehensive. All Elting, you can't get much more comprehensive than him. Sorry, but is the outpost shop in England? Yes, it is. I don't know what the situation with international shipping is these days. My experience of it is that it's been not good. So I don't know what the outpost policies are for shipping abroad. Best thing to do would be send them a Facebook message. They're pretty responsive on Facebook, actually. But if you do buy anything from them, please use the affiliate link. It does help out the channel. But yeah, like I say, I don't know what their European or international shipping is. I'm not sure where you are, Tim. Let me know, and I will see if I know of anyone who might be more suitable for you. With super glue, you are gluing paint to paint. The paint's bond to the model needs to be good too. Yeah, absolutely. Hi, Damjan. It's going very well, thank you. Give me some Digby Smith for uniforms. Some of the Ospreys can be dated. Yes, they can, James. That is another problem as well. They can be slightly dated. That said, though, I think as a good grounding, they're normally pretty good, though. I love Tamiya extra thin glue. But Pentagon sprue makes so much sense. Any particular super glue you use that makes life easier? I use a glue that I buy from another local gaming shop called Wargaming Emporium, which is here in Sheffield as well. We're very lucky to have two shops. And they sell and market their own. Another friend of mine uses just Loctite, and another friend of mine, he works for, so I used to live in Woking. He works for McLaren Mercedes, so he glues his figures together with the glue they use on these Formula 1 cars. So I assume that's really good. I don't know. So I think, to be honest, just any super glue works. Hang on, I've got a pot of the stuff I use. Yeah, there you go. It's quite thin. It's normally got a label on. The label must have come off. But yeah, I just Gorilla Glue. I know a lot of people rate. Just any old super glue, really, I guess. Tamiya extra thin glue. Yeah, why not? Yeah. I tend to use the thinner glue rather than the thick stuff. But again, if I'm honest, it's usually whichever glue I pick up first. Osprey have 50% off sale. As you say, very specific. Oh, well, there you go. If they've got a 50% off sale, I would recommend. One of the things that might be worth going for is their campaign books rather than the Men-at-Arms books. So the Men-at-Arms books are the uniform ones. Their campaign books are specific campaigns, as the name suggests. So I'm just looking at my shelf now. I've got Asai, Naseby, Pharsalis, Agincourt, Thermopylae, Arnhem, Tet, Quezon, Kadesh, Aspern and Wagram, obviously, Marengo, Stalingrad, Fuentes d'Onoro, Salamanca, Badajoz, Bull Run. So, I mean, that's just, the ones that I've got directly in front of me, Culloden. So, with those, you often get, so I'm going to grab the Aspern one because that's the one I know best. This is my third copy of the Aspern and Essling, Aspern and Wagram book. Now, the reason why I would suggest these over the Men-at-Arms is because I make myself look silly now, aren't I? Because it's not going to be in here. Yeah, here we are. Because you get pictures like this in there. So if I can just get that up on the screen. So this has got the uniform of a Voltigeur of the 18th Regiment de Line and the 3rd Line. So you've still got some uniform plates in here as well as all the detail about the battle itself as well. This is for my money one of the best Osprey campaign books. There's a picture of the Guard as well with those eagles on the Shakos I was telling you about. So the campaign books are good because they've got the details of the campaign, as the name suggests, in there, not just the individual units. So Ospreys, really good. My recommendation would be the campaigns over the Men-at-Arms books. I can't remember. I fairly sure that I recommended them in the top 5 or top 6 non-fiction books. I probably just recommended the whole publisher, though, to be honest, which I guess isn't really that much use if you're looking for something specific. Let me have a look. So scrolling up. Pinterest is gold booty of images. It certainly is, Rusty. Yeah. Do you think Austrian cavalry kit from the Perrys can work for 1815 Prussian cuirassiers? With the caveat of I don't know a huge amount about 1815 Prussian cuirassiers, I would say the main issues you're going to have are the helmets and the armor. Now, I don't know if they had back plates or not by then. I know the Austrians didn't. I don't know about the Prussians. If they did, then obviously, that's going to be quite a big change. If they didn't, then you're 50% of the way there. The helmets, they are a little different now. As far as I remember, they're a little bit more like the Carabinier helmet, the sort of caterpillar crest on top there. But again, I'm absolutely no expert in the Prussian army of 1815. I've just started researching for the Waterloo. Well, I say just. I've been researching for the Waterloo video for quite a while, but obviously the cuirassiers weren't involved in that, so I'm not 100%. I don't know. I'm sure someone in the chat though will know more about the Prussians than I do. So if anyone does, then they will be best suited. Rawlins ebooks were made for uniform, but he died at Christmas. Oh, that's a shame. And the website selling went offline. Oh dear. Okay. Yeah, no, that'd be good to see them. I've been looking around for manufacturers for Hesse, Darmstadt. What are your suggestions? Oh, I had no idea on that one, I'm afraid, buddy. I would have to have a look about that. Oh, seriously, you're in Northant. Sorry, yeah, you've already told me that you're in Northant. Sorry, mate. Yes. Yes, the outposts are in the UK. They're in Sheffield. So very good for local postage there. Good afternoon. Do you always paint on the sprue? I've never tried it. Maybe I should give it a go. Let me see. I tend to these days, yes. I'm trying to think of stuff I don't paint on the sprue. I've just bought a couple of boxes of Games Workshop Zombies, the old classics. I'll almost certainly be building those. Oh, the ghouls as well. So most Games Workshop figures I tend to build before I paint. But pretty much all my historicals I tend to paint on the sprue, yeah. Wayland Games is not in Sheffield. It's not, Louis. It is down in Essex. It's in Hockley in Essex. Not Sheffield. Always Emporium is great. It is very good. They sell individual sprues, which can be very handy. 8 chews for £1 in Wilco super glue will do. Well, there you go. Absolutely. Yeah. For Cleveberg, you need a post-1812 uniform with barred-in coat. The differences are the cuff details. The first, third, and fourth can be made from any plastic kit, just different colours. Fair enough. And the fourth were a plain cuff without the flap. Second had a pointed cuff. No one makes these. Check with Steve Barber Models. He's doing a figure with different heads. Okay, yeah, no, that's fair enough. That's very comprehensive there, Clive. Thank you for that. One more thing. Berg Infantry had 2 cross belts, so you can only use flank figures. Also, a third all had epaulets. Right, okay. So the third you could do fairly easily then. The others may be a little bit more difficult, but the third you can certainly do with... I wonder how that works with greatcoats as well. Could be another thing to look at. If you paint on some super glue to them. Yeah, okay. So you could paint them, the muskets, with super glue as well. The breastplates were provided by the Russian Empire. So I reckon they didn't have backplates. The Russians did have backplates. As far as I'm aware, the Russian cuirassiers did. Let me have a quick googly. Russian cuirassiers. So I'm looking at the Hysterex picture now. Doesn't show the back. I should know this. I've just painted up a load of Russian cuirassiers. There's the Zvezda cover. Yeah, I'm fairly sure they had backplates. The Russian cuirassiers. Not 1000% on that, but I think they did. You can use Dragoons and get Karazia helmets. They no longer use breastplates since most were captured. Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Might have grabbed all the boring Prussian sprues. No, that's fair enough. They're like I said. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Well, I was to be honest, I was just wrapping up anyway. And I would say that you didn't miss anything important because this is me we're talking about. But but that's a nice picture of the ceiling. There we are. I've adjusted the camera there. So yeah, sorry about that, guys. I didn't realise that I was so low on juice, so I'm plugged in now. But as I say, I'm only going to wrap up anyway. I've had, while I was offline, I've just tried to take this head out of the mould, and it's still a little bit soft. So I'm going to leave it in there for a while longer. I'll stick a picture up later. I'll probably pop it up on YouTube. Actually, I've been using the messenger thing a bit more, and trying to use Facebook a little bit less. But for everyone who is returned, thank you very much for watching. For those of you who just disappeared, that's absolutely fair enough. I can't fault you for that one. But thank you very much for the last couple of hours. It's been good fun hanging out and chatting. As I say, the helmet is a little bit soft. I'm going to leave that a little bit longer. But I hope. Where are the Portuguese Dragoon that I've done? There he is. Let me reach around the camera. There we go, rather than straight under it. So this is going to be the first of the Dragoons, the Portuguese Dragoons. So that's the body, that's the legs, that's going to be his arm. This is going to be his head. And I'm also going to do one of the covered shakos to match him as well. So I can choose whether I want early with the tarlatan or late with the shako. But thank you very, very much for watching. Like I said, sorry about the technical issues towards the end there, but it's been good to hang out. I'm going to try and do these more regularly, maybe every Saturday morning, because to be honest, I tend to spend sort of just up to lunchtime on Saturdays painting if I can anyway. So it'd be cool to hang out with you guys. It's certainly something that I want to do on bank holidays. We've got 2 coming up next month, so hopefully I'll manage to crash out these videos then, even if it's just for an hour or 2 in the morning like it's been today. But thank you very much for watching, and I will see you on Wednesday for another short video, and I will see you on Sunday. I'm not entirely sure what it's going to be this Sunday. I think it's probably going to be a gaming related video, possibly how to play British. That one's in the can ready to go, but we'll see. But thank you very, very much for joining me, and I will see you next time.